executing a strategic plan from scratch without considering past information regarding similar projects executed by the company is just like jumping from a ship only to land on hard ground. Anything your organization has in terms of plans, processes, policies, procedures, and knowledge bases. These are all considered to be organizational processes. In addition, the same would hold true for any content along those lines coming from a client or a supplier. What's unique about such documentation? Well, we're talking about content to be found within line management or business as usual. Very often, these documents go through a change. When a project is completed, they're supported to update such documentation to reflect the new reality. Well, they're supposed to, at least it works. So why are these artifacts important? Perhaps you might have heard the phrase, the way we do business around here. Well, the organizational process assets help us understand what the way of business actually is. So they are very important. They set the tone in how you approach your assignment. Let me give you some examples of typical organizational processes, guidelines, company policies, and methodologies. Standard operating procedures, knowledge or information from past projects, records and documents, or what you can call knowledge assets. Lessons learned from earlier projects. Project templates, risk registers, completeness schedules from earlier projects, earned value data, just to name a few. Can they be potential constraints? While they can be but don't have to be. If you find the problem to lie in the content found within an organizational process asset, then you will need to change the components if you want to solve the issue. If managed correctly, the organizational processes can be invaluable. Think about it if you have such documentation at your disposal. It allows you to understand rather quickly what you're confronted with, which rules the organization, adheres to which processes are followed, what's happened before you took on your assignment, those sort of things. Have you ever been in a situation where the organizational processes were not to be found more often than not? You'll find that existing processes and procedures are not documented, and the creation of such documents become part of your remit. Another situation then runs across is that you ask for such documentation, and the persons you're asking have no idea that such documentation even exists within the organization. You continue with your assignment and only find out later, by chance most likely, that the documentation you painstakingly created is already available. The last scenario concerns the processes that are put under lock and key. Yes, they do exist, but they're state secrets. That means your job has become infinitely more difficult. Welcome to reality. Well, if you have multiple processes and you don't know which one is really applicable, chances are that you can find multiples are being used. You weren't the only one who couldn't find them. So half the employees were in the situation at one time or another. So they came up with a road that kind of follows the joke that everyone loves dinners so much that everyone wants to have their own. So why don't we cover? We looked at what an organizational process it is. I gave you some examples of some documentation, and I covered some common examples from organizations in how such processes are actually managed. Thanks.